And welcome back to the Osteo and Physio YouTube channel. For today's video, as asked by you guys, we are going to be covering medial epicondylitis, or more commonly known as golfer's elbow. With medial epicondylitis, or golfer's elbow, it is the flexor and the pronator tendons and muscle bellies that are involved in this injury. So most commonly presenting with local sharpness and soreness around the attachment on the medial epicondyle, but can also give referral down into the muscle bellies, as well as the tendon attachment down into the fingers. So it's very common to get a pain pattern right the way down into the forearm. So in terms of what's actually happening to the tendon, that repetitive trauma, and we're thinking about it with golf as they're locking the position ready for the swing, what happens is you get that repetitive trauma and injury which causes micro trauma into the tendon. And because the tendon has a relatively poor blood supply, it can take a lot longer to heal, but also can linger for a long time in terms of pain. So regardless of doing rehab exercise, it always takes a little bit longer to heal anyway, due to the fact that we use it all the time. To start off with the best of exercises for this area, I always think it's great to try and encourage blood flow around this area. So the first thing we want you to do for the first 30 seconds is to massage down into the forearm. So I'm using my thumb and I'm moving a circular motion down into the forearm. So you start where the attachment is and you work your way down. If it's really sensitive for you, before doing the massage, you might want to add ice for about 5 minutes over the tendon attachment and then go into the massage. What you can do, so you see it's that circular motion through the forearm belly, what you might want to have a look at is adding a little bit of moisturiser or oil to relax through into this area. Once you've done the circular motion, you can then move the thumb down, so you're going long ways towards the wrist, so we're stretching down into the fibres. So what I would be doing is obviously adding a little bit of oil, going a little bit slower, but you're trying to stretch from here right the way down to the wrist. So for about 30 seconds, you're doing long stretches down into that area. For the next 30 seconds, what we would also recommend before we do any stretching or movement is actually to repeat the same thing on the opposite side, because although the pain with you is on the medial side, so the inner side of the elbow, it's really common for the whole forearm to feel incredibly tight. So again, it's that circular motion around the outer part, and again, same thing running down, you're stretching down towards the wrist, but obviously this time is directed a little bit more lateral, so you're stretching down into this area. Good, so we're going to aim to do that for about 30 seconds, stretching down through, and again just using a bit of oil just to help with that stretch. Once we've done that, we then want to target a very, very specific stretch into the pronators and the flexors. So you think when they contract, they turn the hand down and flex down towards the floor. So when you stretch it, you want to go the opposite way. So what we're going to do is going to turn the palm up, you're going to hold around the wrist, and then what you're going to do is as you stretch the arm out, you're going to drop and extend the wrist back. So you're stretching down and out just like that. So again, show you again, hold around the wrist, dropping it back and then stretching down. So you will aim to hold this for about 30 seconds. With each of these, only go as far as you feel like you can go. So if you're getting to this point and it's still really sensitive, just retract the exercises back to the ice and the massage until you feel like you've got it, until it's a little bit more comfortable, and then add the stretch in. Once you've done that, again, same on the other side, we want to release the whole forearm. We're going to target the supinators and the extensors, so we're going to go the opposite way. So you're going to turn the hand down as if you were contracting these muscles, and you're going to stretch the hand forward. So you'll feel that on the outer part of the elbow, so we're moving into this position. So again, holding this for about 15 to 30 seconds. So I know I said 30 seconds before, but obviously if you're building this up over time, you might want to start with 15 and then make your way up to 30, but if you can, hold for 30 seconds into this area. Next, we want to move through the elbow. So where the elbow is a hinge joint, we want to start with its main vectors of motion, which is bending and extending. So you can hold around the elbow if you want to add a little bit of support, but this is just to improve that range of motion. So again, we want to get optimal movement through the joints, as well as obviously releasing through the tendons and the muscle belly. So you want to aim for that flexion and extension. So we're looking at doing this for about 30 seconds. And then we're looking after this once we've moved through, so just keep going a little bit longer. So again, just improving that function, trying to regain full range of motion. What we then want to look at is turning the hand up and down. So although this is looking at the radial ulnar joint, so a little bit lower, we want to turn into supination and pronation, because with medial epicondylitis, it is typically the pronators that are involved in this injury. So again, lovely, slow and controlled, turning the hand up and back and moving into that optimal position. So we want to keep going for about 30 seconds, so moving through and then relaxing. Next, we want to gently start to add in strengthening around the flexors and the pronators. So I am using a pot of pickle, but you can use a little weight if you have one. The trouble is the ones that I have are just way too heavy initially. So you want to have a lighter weight starting off. So if you've got any cans of beans, anything in the cupboard, and when it's super sensitive, you're not going to want a really heavy weight, and you can always add it up over time. So we want to encourage flexion, but very specifically around the elbow, because if we're going up like this, we're more targeting the biceps than the flexor tendon. So what we're doing is you can support underneath your elbow, holding in the wrist. You're going to bring it up towards you, hold for a second, and then relax back to that neutral position. So again, if it's been really sore, you will feel this strengthening. So hold for a couple of seconds on end range, and then relaxing, and then lifting up again, holding for a couple of seconds and relaxing. So with all of these routines, what I would say is for the first couple of weeks, trying to do it every other day, because you don't want to bombard the body, you need that recovery time. And then what we will then want to add in when we get to week 3 or 4 is just more resistance. So once a day, every other day, adding that resistance until it feels a lot more comfortable. So it's all about layering it and fitting it with your normal routine. So again, lifting up, holding for a couple of seconds, and then relaxing down. So we just keep going. We want to aim probably about 15 to 20 reps where we're holding on end range. And once we've done that, again, you can keep holding around this area, but we're going to look at pronation. With the pronation, holding the same weight, again, still holding around the elbow, you're going to turn the wrist towards the floor and then back to the middle. Turning the wrist towards the floor and then back to the middle. So you want to aim to hold for a couple of seconds on end range, same as what we would do if we were working through the wrist flexors. So you want to hold for a couple of seconds and then relaxing through, aiming between 15 to 20 reps to improve that range of motion. The final part of the rehabilitation that we would look at is the eccentric loading. So although I'm still using the jar of pickles, at this point you would want to add a little bit more weight. So maybe a 2 to 3 kg dumbbell if you've got that. Again, add it up over time. So you only move on to the eccentric stuff when you can do the concentric work comfortably without too much soreness around this area. So how it works is very similar to you're holding in the same area, but what you're going to do is you're going to shorten on flexion and allow the wrist to drop back. So you're shortening, so you're assisting that movement, and then having that resisted control as you extend back into that extended position. So again, lifting up, holding around the elbow and allowing it to drop back. And you'll feel the difference of a stronger and a heavier weight moving into that elbow. So again, lifting up, moving into the elbow. So again, lovely, slow and controlled, aiming between 15 to 20 reps.